Edwin Wallace's generous heart stopped, and that is when Wallace Medical Concern began to live. Edwin Wallace, a World War II vet who made fishing poles, sensed his heart's fragility before a surgery. He asked his doctor to find an attorney to prepare a will. Within hours, an attorney arrived and a will was recorded. Sadly, Mr. Wallace died days later. Unbeknownst to his doctor, Mr. Wallace had left him enough money to seed a need. Dr. James Ruler, the doctor who had cared for him, saw this need and transformed it into the Wallace Medical Concern, an official nonprofit born in 1984.
Mr. Edwin Wallace was an 81-year-old man for whom I had the privilege of being his physician. Mr. Wallace's bequest was the seed funding, in fact, the only funding that we had for Wallace, which helped us launch. Because Mr. Wallace built custom fishing rods for his livelihood, we carried a fishing tackle box with all of our medical equipment. One of the, I think, hallmarks of Wallace over the entire history has been the work and collaboration with other programs in the city to try to keep that safety net as tight as possible so that people don't fall between the cracks.
The new Wallace began serving the unhoused, uninsured, and disenfranchised in Old Town Portland. Given full liability coverage from Multnomah County, volunteer doctors and medical students filled tackle boxes with medical supplies and carried them to those in need. Beginning with one donated room on the third floor of the Old Town's Estate Hotel, the first clinic location for those without access to care was opened. Over the next 15 years, Wallace's heartbeat grew stronger, opening clinics for unhoused youth and people living in shelters. Despite having to move the main clinic multiple times, they continually served the needs of their growing patient population. In 1987, WMC hired their first paid employee, Executive Director Kathy Hammock.
I really identified with the mission of Wallace. I had been a VISTA volunteer at a different community health clinic, and I really wanted to feel very closely who benefited from my day-to-day. I was really inspired by the volunteers who came day in, day out and gave so generously of their time, and how beautifully desire to make a difference matched the need that I saw in the community. Sometimes we were doing something very simple, like tending to somebody's sore throat. Sometimes we were identifying that somebody had cancer and that we needed to find a place for them to go and live the final days of their lives. Doing something that was that meaningful and in the presence of people who were so generous with their time and their skills never ceased to inspire me.
In 1999, as the rhythm of the community changed, Wallace followed its patients into East County. The first clinic for seasonal workers was established at Townsend Farms, complete with Spanish medical interpreters. In Gresham, WMC put down roots.
After we had been out here a while, I think we were the largest provider of urgent care services for Spanish-speaking people in the East County.
Wallace operated both in Old Town and East County using over 90% volunteers until moving entirely to Gresham in 2007. Anchored there, Wallace expanded in response to the Oregon Health Plan, with Lisa Klein becoming executive director a year later.
I know when I came to Wallace, we weren't a community health center, and that's one of the things that the board wanted us to look at was, all right, we're out here in East County, there's a growing need, and how does Wallace want to step up and meet that need? So that was the very first thing that I did when I got here, is we took our time and looked at that model and decided that we wanted to transition. We'd spent years being this beautiful free clinic, but what could we do? What more could we do for the community as a federally qualified health center?
Two wonderful surprises arose amid the changing of the guard: a van and a new direction. Multnomah County Health Department asked WMC to take over its mobile medical clinic, or the MMC. It helped Wallace move to where they were needed. They hired their first doctor, Dr. Anna Jimenez. The MMC continued mobile clinics at seasonal farms, provided health presentations outside the Mexican consulate in downtown Portland, and made visits to a range of social service sites in the area. The second surprise came when Multnomah County Health Department asked Wallace to apply to become a federally qualified health center, setting them on course to become a federally recognized community health clinic, aligning perfectly with the Affordable Care Act. In September 2012, Wallace opened its first primary health clinic in Rockwood. Over the next 8 years, they added dental clinics and a chief medical officer. Dr. Stuart Curry has steered primary care services, navigating through the pandemic with telehealth and leading Wallace's launch of school-based services.
One of our primary focuses for the past few years is to truly integrate our services. It's one thing to offer, medical, behavioral, dental, all in the same building, but it's another to have it feel as one from the patient experience. So when we designed our Rockwood clinic, we made sure that the waiting room was shared, our call center is shared, and both clinics on opposite sides of the suite, they are connected by the lab.
Once we were allowed to start using a mobile medical clinic, we decided that we were going to start using it to partner with Gresham Barlow High School while they were in process of building a school-based health center.
The school-based health center, we offer preventative medical visits, same-day acute care visits. So when kids have a sore throat, a cough, a toothache, they don't have to leave school, miss a whole afternoon. They can miss one class, for instance, to get the health care. And of course, their parents don't have to leave work because it's right on campus.
It's the last high school to have a school-based health center in the region. It was about time for them, and they are as excited as we are.
In 2020, they moved into the heart of downtown Rockwood, where they thrive today. Wallace now has beautiful medical and dental clinics that employ over 100 people. Wallace provides whole patient care, speaking to its patients in over 50 languages to ensure they receive the care they need.
My hope for the future of Wallace is that we continue to be a hub in the community for healthcare and for care that's delivered in a way that continues to put patients first. So we work to make this a great place to work, Wallace to be a provider of choice, an employer of choice, a partner of choice, and a place that when you come through the doors and then you leave through those doors, you're a better person.
Being involved with Wallace made me a better citizen and a better parent. Because of my interactions with Wallace and meeting people from all across the community, I had a much clearer understanding of what local government was and what its responsibilities were and what its deficiencies were and how people could go about working together for a common cause.
This is the story of how One Heart started a movement, now at the heart of Rockwood.